Hey, this is Faye, and today we're gonna take a good long look at how to make Gil in 2021. And this video will be criminally long, so I have made a lot of timestamps, and you are absolutely free to click around and to see if there is any Gil making method that inspires you or that rings true to you. So, I have listed all of the methods that I know of in this video for inspiration. There are a lot of different ways to make Gil, and this will depend on what classes, content, currencies or coin that you have available. And some of these methods I know of, but I am by no means an expert on it. Some of these I've been taught of or heard of from other players, and some the game has taught me, and some I found on YouTube or on the interwebs at large. I've tried to find and provide links to guides that explain some of these methods more in depth. And if I missed any of your preferred methods or your favorite Gil making content creator, please feel free to post and promote them in the comments below. I struggled a lot to find a good way to divide this up, and I went through several different diagrams and flowcharts and pyramids, but I have settled on just listing the ideas for inspiration and then marking each of these ideas with the following stickers, so that you know how it works and for whom this is relevant. So, we have the free trial friendly sticker. This is back to basics, aka this is all of the things that we can all do. And the things that we maybe all should be doing, where we just yank Gil straight out of the game itself. If a given tip is marked with this means that this should work with people who have access to no market board, no retainers, no free companies, and no post-heavenward zones. Mind you, as a free trial player, you will also have a Gil loft of 300,000 gils, so keep that in mind. Market board PvP. Now, if a given tip is marked with this sticker, this means that this method will require the use of and fall victim to the whims of the great and almighty market board. Which, let's be real, this is one of the places where the fiercest PvP is taking place in this game. And then we have the crafting and gathering sticker. These methods will require that you have crafters or gatherers unlocked, and some of these methods will be available from very low level, and some of them can even be very useful for leveling up. Some of them, however, will also require a bit more involvement, some master recipes or tomes of regional folklore and gear, but there should be some on all levels here. So, armed with these free stickers, let's look at some different Gil making methods. Number 1. Daily roulettes and weekly challenge logs. First and foremost, you should be doing your roulettes. If you're even doing them as adventure in need, you'll get a neat bonus of EXP and Gil, and sometimes even Tomestones and clusters. These bonuses will vary depending on how much these other classes are in need, but you should absolutely be doing your roulettes every day. You'll get fantastic EXP, a chance to get familiar with the classes, and you'll get free Gil. The first one you unlock the moment you've completed the first 2 dungeons. That is called the leveling roulette, and you will get access to it on any other class you're leveling as soon as that class hits level 16. There is also a weekly Gil prize that is tied to completing a set amount of these in your challenge log. Like how completing 5 dungeons will finish the challenge Dungeon Master, and it'll give you extra EXP and a Gil bonus of 2,000. And how completing 5 of these individual challenges will give you up for a challenge, which will give you 10,000 Gil, which you can do multiple times, by the way, up to 5 times for a total of 30 completed challenges, and that'll net you about 55,000 Gil just from doing that every week. If you haven't unlocked the challenge log yet, I highly recommend you do so, because it will literally just toss Gil at you and EXP at you for playing the game that you're already playing. You can unlock this from a blue quest that you will find from this NPC in the Drowning Wench. For players with access to the later part of the games, you will have access to way more roulettes to run, and there will be Tomestone rewards, which you will get from signing up for these roulettes as max level. These can be extremely useful in ways of getting gear and materials that you can use to craft gear or just put on the market board directly, but we will get back to that later. 2. Selling gear / using seals / breaking shit down / demi materia. While you are out there doing your roulettes, I will just say this: roll on everything. You can run dungeons repeatedly or unsync lower level dungeons alone or in a party, and whatever gear is not immediately useful to you on your current class or an alt class that you're leveling, you can sell, turn in, or break down. Let's go into these 3 different ways of getting profit off of your gear. So, you can sell your gear directly to a vendor. While it might not seem like a lot, it is free gil, and the price you'll get for a certain piece of gear that is sold to a vendor will be listed here. If you put a bit of time into leveling up your rank with your Grand Company, you will have unlocked the Expert Delivery tab, which will allow you to turn in gear for seals. This will require a bit of grinding for seals to reach the rank of Sergeant 2nd class, and I'll suggest that you do your hunting logs for your Grand Company as well as a few fate, because that should get you there fast enough. These seals can be turned in for items. If you don't have access to the market board, I suggest leveling up your Grand Company rank until you're 2nd Lieutenant and have the access to buying these things from the 600 point racks, because you can sell these directly to a vendor for 360 gil per item. Now this may not sound like a lot, but it is passive income because you can just turn in the gear that you get from the roulettes anyways, and you can infinitely spam dungeons ad nauseum, both synced and unsynced, and 24,000 Grand Company seals will net you around 14,000 gil. If you do have access to the market board, there are tons of items that you can buy from your Grand Company seals that will sell on the market board. If you want to optimize your profit, be sure to check your markets. And I have an example here from one of my awesome FC mates, Lynn, who literally went through all of the different items and ranked them in how valuable they were on the market board at that point in time. But personally, I don't bother checking, and I usually just stick to buying glamour prisms or glamour dispellers or coke or occasionally king cake. You'd be surprised at what sells, really. Please also take a look at Ryoko's super useful tutorial on how to do seal profiting, which is listed below. If you do have crafters at level 30, you can pick up a quest from Synth here and learn how to break down gear. This can be very useful, especially when you get higher level gear, as you will have a chance of getting demi materia, some of which will sell for up to 5,000 gil just if you turn it into a vendor. Sometimes you'll get lucky enough to get resources that are useful for your own crafting, and if you have access to the market board, you can sell these for individual parts. Quite often, small stacks at lower level crafting material will go for pretty high guild prices because people can't be bothered to go out and gather or craft this themselves. Here is Kun's guide on how to specifically desynth weapon parts to get items that'll sell on the market board. And on magic carpets, which is a fish that'll drop rare items that generally tend to sell for a lot. There is a surprising amount of gil that can be made from desynthing fish especially. I have tried to link some descriptions for more inspiration on that in the description below. 3. Specific drops. This one doesn't really apply to the free trial tier, as it does require the access to the market board. I've mentioned a few of these in my previous videos on how to make gil from low-level dungeons and mob drops, and most of these will still be worth picking up. Heads up though, after an update, the box with the fine wax in Hawk Manor has been moved to drop from this box, and the drop rate has been upped, but you'll only get one per run. However, the box is way easier to get to, so that will make your farming of fine wax way easier. The Necrologos, which was just added, is a drop that you can get from the Great Google Library on hard mode from the last chest. Some minions, like the white Witret that drops from Hell's Lid at a criminally low drop rate, still goes for millions on most servers. You can also farm the last raid in the Near series, because 2 hairstyles are guaranteed to drop from each alliance's last box. These will vary a lot in price, but it'll certainly be still worth quite a bit of gil. Same goes for some of the rarer Orchestrions from the raids. If you have the gear, the skill and the stomach for it, you can farm some of the Expert and Savage trials to get the items that are needed for trophies. See for inspiration Rigitar's Guide for Gilmaking, which touches upon this. 4. Tomestones. At a certain level, you will start to get tomestones. Elegant tomestones of poetics you'll start to get even from level 50 onwards. For instance, for every MSQ, alliance or normal raid roulette that you'll do, as well as some of the dungeons and challenges. Later on, you will get 2 endgame relevant tomestones. You can turn the poetics in for gear in Idyllshire and Ralka's Reach, and the allegory and revelation, or whatever the newest ones are called, in Yulmore. Poetics tend to rack up pretty fast, and if you don't need them for any gear, I encourage you to explore this method of turning them in Idyllshire for unidentified shells or ore, and then use these to buy high-grade topsoil that is used in gardens. But if you're willing to do a little bit more research on your market, there is actually a lot of items that you can buy and put on the market board that might prove profitable to you. You can find this method described by Cole NX in his guide on how to use tomestones, which I will list below. And for more on how to spend your poetics, look at Silvermont's lovely guide. As for the later game tomestones, you can use them to buy gear, buy items that can be used to craft gear, and I will also encourage you to give Zane's guide on how to profit from your endgame tomestones a good look. Number 5. Leves. Leves are little odd jobs that you can unlock in your starter city and then subsequently in many different cities, and you'll get free every 12 hours, and they will stack up to 100. There are trade, battle and fieldcraft leaves, and these will give you EXP and some rewards. While there are many profitable craft leaves at the very end game, there are also jobs that you can do as a free trial player that should net you a profit. If you are running Battlecraft leaves, make sure to set the difficulty as high as possible and pick leaves that have rewards that are items. You can turn these in for your grand company or sell them to vendors or break them into pieces. If there is a treasure chest on the field, you might as well pick it up too. If you're doing crafting leaves, look at those that are marked as repeatable. This means that you will get to turn in free for the price of 1 leaf, which will prove useful, as you will only regain 6 new leaves per day. Try to turn in high quality items as often as possible, as this will boost both your EXP and your guild reward. For some suggestions on low level leaves that are profitable, I've listed some on the screen. 2 later game ones that people are all up about right now are the Coffee Biscuit Leaf quests for Culinarian and the Mithril File one for the Blacksmith. Both are available in the Crystarium, and you can repeat the turn-ins here to maximize the leaf to gil ratio. Please look at these super lovely guides that Caprice did here, and I have linked both of them below. Number 6. Mob farmed or gathered items. If you are not feeling like doing leaves, or if you've used all of your 100 leaves, you can gather or craft some of the components that are used in the recipes. Here is a quick glance of some of the few ones that I tend to get. I'll just put them on the screen and you can pause, because otherwise this very long video will become even longer. With this nifty upgrade to the UI, you can click on each of these in your gathering log and see where they are. This is like the best thing ever. I have listed a few guides down below that touch upon how to make gil this way. So Work to Game's awesome guides on what sell for botanist may be a little bit old, but it is still pretty damn solid. Ryoko's guide on how to make gil from mining and gathering is also pretty good. And here is Jace's guide on how to make gil from gathering and crafting too. Number 7. Crafted gear. I am not nearly skilled enough to know how to make these, so I will just refer you to this awesome guide made by Desperius that'll explain how to do endgame crafting and touches upon the materials that you'll need for it. Please also look at Jason's great guide on how to profit from crafted gear here. And if you have a strong stomach for market board PvP, and if you are well geared with your crafters and have the skills to craft, this is arguably one of the best ways to get very rich very fast. Not for me though. Number 8. Housing items. Unlike the latest gear, new housing items added aren't exclusive to the later game crafters. Woohoo! Quite often, they will slot in recipes all over the spectrum, which means that some of them won't require endgame crafters to make, some of them will actually be pretty low level to make, and some of them will be pretty easy to make. So if you're ever bored, try looking over your housing tab in your crafting log and see which easily made pieces or which materials that are needed for the hottest selling ones might be needed. For instance, a lot of the newly added housing items incorporate lignum vitae lumber, so for a while it was super profitable to go out and chug some trees down in Lakeland. Especially keep an eye on housing items whenever changes to the housing systems occur, aka whenever they expand with wards, or for instance when the houses went back off the demolition timer and a lot of inactive houses were demolished. When the 6.1 will roll around and Ishgard housing will be a thing, I am sure there will be a big need for housing items, because people will either get their first house or they will upgrade to a bigger one, so basic items will be needed. Number 9. Maps. Maps are fantastic. Not only are they super fun to do, they will give you free stuff and they will give you guild prizes just for opening them. Well, for opening them and beating the monsters, but usually that is not a problem. You unlock the ability to run them in Wineport from this blue quest around here-ish, and from then on you will learn how to decipher a map, and then you'll just have to find the hidden treasure and dig it up. There is no max to how many you can run per day, but you can only carry one at any given time. So I generally have one open, and one in a bottle, and then one in a saddlebag, and then one on all of my retainers, and yeah. You don't have to have that many maps. I also tend to send people maps, like dig them up and then just send them, which is a good way to store maps. Just be aware that people may be a little annoyed that their Moogle box is filled with maps. Just putting that out there. Anyway, if you are a free trial player, you can't access the market board, so you can't buy cheap maps to run them, but you can level a miner, fisher or botanist to a decent level where you can start collecting maps. You can collect one map every 12 hours, so just keep in mind that the higher leveled nodes have a chance of dropping higher leveled maps. So you may want to consider not just picking the first and the best map that you find while out there digging. Some of these maps are perfectly soloable, and some will require a larger party since you will be sucked into a portal and have to face up groups where your level will be synced. For players with access to the market board, I'd like to point this little thing out. There is a cash price just for completing a map, and I've listed these on the screen, so if you find a map on the market board for less than these, consider picking it up. It'll earn itself home just in the guild that it'll reward you, and add to that whatever else it might drop that you can put on the market board, or that may prove useful for you. In my experience, dragon and gazelle skin maps, as well as thieves maps that you can find in treasure dungeons themselves, generally yield more hard cash prices than the newer dungeons. Well, in my experience at the very least. But the newest maps, currently the Sonur skin maps, have a chance of dropping those rare materials that will be needed for the latest level 1 all classes glamour items. So these materials will be very much in demand and it'll flux with the market. I have listed Takamate's fun guide on how to do maps here, and I encourage you to go and check it out. Number 10. Hunts. When you get to become second lieutenant in your grand company, you can start doing hunts. Each day, marks of different tiers will be posted, and you'll get a currency that you can turn into buy gear or materia or other useful things. If you are a free trial player, you can't sell these on the market board, but even on the level 60 hunts and below, there is a good cash price for just killing these beasts that have nominated themselves to be on the day's menu. And there are elite marks that you can pick up every week, which will give even more. For more on hunts, I'll defer to those wiser than I, and I will direct you to Lucid Fate's fantastic and comprehensive guides on this, which I have linked below. 11. Bozja. Aside of being a great way to level your 71 onwards classes to 80, there are several great ways to profit for helping out in the southern front. Cluster farming is a good way to make gil, as there are a couple of good emotes, a mount, and a hairstyle that requires Bozja exclusive currencies for purchase. You can gain clusters for killing all machinery, though some have a higher drop rate. For more inspiration or, well, a better description, look at Ryoko's nice guide on how to do this here, or watch Dan's overview here. Links are down below. Aside of clusters, you can farm fragments, which will drop from a few skirmishes of fights, as well as the beasts and monsters that are on the map. And I will refer to Game Skinny's awesome guide that was written by Ashley on which mobs will drop which fragments. My experience is that these will vary a lot in how much they go for, but they can generally be equally hard to farm. Go with a group and/or shout for a farming party in both cases. You can always split up later on to cover more land if taking down the clusters of mobs prove to be pretty easy for you, but it does make it a lot easier, faster and more manageable to tackle this in a group than to trying this alone. Dan here made a fantastic guide on different methods on how to efficiently fragment farm. Aside of this, you can run the Delubrum Reginae for that chance of one of your boxes after the last boss will hold the hairstyle early to rise, which will generally sell for up towards 9 million gil on most servers. Number 12. Ishgardian Restoration. While the restoration itself is done, there is still options to turn in recipes, and this is easily the best way to level your crafters, gain Cooper of Fortune rewards, and Sky Builder scripts, which can then be turned in for emotes, mounts, dyes, or furniture or gear that all sell pretty damn well on the market. Even better now, where way fewer are actually doing this. I've already made a video on where to get the items that you don't get from the diadem for each recipe, and these tend to sell pretty well as well. But the main gil attraction now is the rush that has ended, means that there are fewer that are doing this, and so rewards like for instance the casual attire set have skyrocketed in price, as well as the expensive mounts that cost a lot of Sky Builder scripts, and well, people aren't doing this so much right now. The feats that are ongoing right now will give you about 100 Sky Builder scripts per event that you participate in, and a little bit of EXP on the gathering or crafting class that you ran it as. For inspiration on how to challenge these harder recipes if you want to be efficient with your script farming, please look at some of these tutorials made by Courier for the recipes and for the Sky Steel tool specifically, and please watch Saint's video here for instance that highlights what sells for the diadem. A special highlight here is Capri's awesome guide on what the gil per hour potential of spending time in the diadem is. It's really good. I encourage you to go and check it out. Number 13. Aetherial Reduction. I will gladly admit that I am not at all an expert on this, but basically there are items that you gather with collectability in the game that you can break down into the ethereal components. Now this works kinda like desynthing an item, and you will get Aether Sand, which can sell pretty damn neatly because it is needed in most endgame gear recipes. Here is Sane's guide on how to get either sand and from which items, and Gamerlad's guide, which explains all of this a lot better than I ever could. Number 14. Find a beast tribe worth fighting for. All beast tribes have neat stories, fun emotes, mounts and glamour items that you can unlock for helping them out, and each quest you do will actually give you a little bit of gil. However, they also sell a variety of different items that cannot be purchased any other place, such as the A Realm Reborn beast tribes that will allow you to buy dyes that the non-beast sworn players can't get to. On my server, there are certain dyes that will go up to 20,000 per bottle of dye, which will have cost the player less than 600 gil to buy. You can also generally buy the patch current battle materia belonging to that beast tribe, so that you can sell those or augment your gear. I will especially highlight the Sylph vendor here, which will actually allow you to buy some fabrics and thread just from signing up. Like, you don't need to do them any favors aside of the initial starting quest. Then this shop will unlock and you will be able to buy these and put them on the market or use them. Number 15. Get your retainers working. Retainers are lovely little slackers that should be put to work. Aside of selling your stuff for you on the market board, you can actually assign them ventures, which is this currency that they will do jobs for you for. Through these small assignments that you give them, they will level up whatever job that you've assigned them to be, and then they can run even more difficult content for you, such as going to farm specific gathering nodes for you, or you can roll the dice and just get a random thing that they've picked up. Sepla made a fantastic guide on how to retainer, which I have linked below. Number 16. Go work for somebody else. Custom deliveries. There are several custom delivery people that you can unlock and earn yellow and white scripts. Aside of being really fun stories and fairly easy to craft, they do give a bit of gil, and the scripts can be turned in for items that can be useful or can be sold. I've listed some on the screen. If you're a free trial player, I would assume that Slowy in Idyllshire is probably the only one that you can unlock, but I will say that these are generally worth doing each week, as you will get EXP and scripts, and you can craft the items on your best geared and highest level crafter, and then just swap class and hand it over on whatever class you'd like the EXP and reward on. You can use the scripts to buy gear, and that'll save you a lot of gil that way, and it is pretty high gear for the tier. Number 17. Chloe. While you are in Idyllshire, you might as well pick up the quest and go and entertain Chloe Aliapo, who's gonna give you stickers for completing weekly challenges. It'll also give you a chance for rewards, some of which can be put on the market board, some of which can be turned in for straight up gil or gear, and you will also get half a level worth of EXP no matter how high leveled the class, if you turn in a book with 9 stickers on it. Number 18. Gardening. I can't garden to save my life, neither in the game nor in real life, so I will totally refer to guides that are wiser than I am for this. But basically, all it requires is some soil, pots, and or outdoor planters, and if you have a friend or an FC that is not quite using the garden, you can experiment with crossbreeding different seeds to get very useful or rare plants. For explanations on this and, well, also inspiration on what to do, please look at this very nice and calm guide that was made by Erin Plays, which explains how to crossbreed plants so that you will get your hands on one of the lovely Faunarian onions. Also, please take a look at this one, which explains how to grow shards in indoor pots to make a profit, which was made by Elijah Grimm. You can also see Mango 7's guide on basic gardening using jute. Number 19. Bicolored gemstone vendors. If you've done any fates in the Shadowbringers patch, you will have racked up this currency. Be aware that several materials Amongst these, some really nifty housing items can be bought from these. And some of these will rack up quite a bit of gil because people don't mind handing over 100 or 200,000 gil to save the troubles to have to run several fates in order to get a poster or a lamp. So go look at the vendors and see if any of, especially the housing items, are in demand on your server. And finally, number 20, Materia. As I've mentioned before, you can get materia from lots of things. You get them through hunts, through Beasttribes, through their currencies, through clusters, from dungeons, random drops, and even from yanking them out of your gear. And you can use these to augment your gear, or you can sell them on the market board. Please be mindful that a materia does, in and of itself, have a value that you can get from just selling it to a vendor. And you can see what that value is here. So never, ever list a materia on the market board below the vendor price. Else some asshat like me is gonna come by and I'll just swoop them all up, and either I'll send them to the vendor and I'll make a profit there, or I will transmute them and get more valuable ones, and that is a profit that you could have made. Go talk to Mutamix to turn the materia you don't need into potentially more useful ones. For tutorials on how to do that, I'll even have the audacity here to refer to my own guide. Though, if you're tired of hearing my voice at this point, which I also totally get, I have listed a few other below. I would, for instance, advise watching Coria's guide on how to do this as well. And there you have it. Those are 20 methods that hopefully will give you a little bit of inspiration on how to get gil in 2021. Hopefully you found one that fits with your temperament, your skills, the amount of time and effort that you're willing to give Gilmaking. I myself am very lazy and I am so bad at keeping my tomestones up, and I am not very good at crafting because I get distracted all the time. But hopefully you found something that sits well with you. Either way, thank you so much for watching or listening, and I hope that you will have a really lovely day. And happy Gilmaking! Bye!